The crystalline vessel shuddered as it pierced Earth's atmosphere, systems failing one by one. Commander Xeltana's four-fingered hands danced across the control panel, her large amber eyes reflecting emergency lights. Stabilizers non-responsive, her science officer reported, antennae flattening against his skull in distress. Impact inevitable. Xeltana had led the Volteri observation mission for 3 orbital cycles, studying this anomalous world from a safe distance. Their directive had been clear: observe only. Earth represented a statistical impossibility, an intelligence that evolved from predator stock. The ship's hull groaned as they descended toward the vast Siberian wilderness. Through the viewport, endless white stretched beneath them, broken only by the dark lines of coniferous forests. All personnel, brace for impact, Xeltana commanded, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her. The Volteri had encountered 17 spacefaring civilizations, all herbivores or filter feeders like themselves. None had evolved from killers. The impact threw her against her restraints. When consciousness returned, the acrid smell of burning circuitry filled the command deck. Outside, twilight painted the snow in blue shadows. The temperature gauge flashed a warning. -30 degrees Celsius external temperature. Fatal conditions. Emergency beacon, she asked, helping her injured pilot from beneath a collapsed panel. Functional, but he hesitated. Commander, activation will alert the humans to our presence. Xeltana's inner eyelids flickered, a gesture of acknowledgement. Their research had been meticulous. Humans were omnivores who had evolved from persistence hunters. Their ancestors had chased prey until it collapsed from exhaustion, a practice requiring not just physical endurance, but calculated cruelty, the willingness to inflict prolonged suffering for eventual consumption. We have no choice, she decided. Activate the beacon. As darkness fell, the surviving crew huddled in the ship's emergency shelter. Of 12 Volteri, 9 had survived the crash. Their thermal regulation suits would provide temporary protection against the cold, but not indefinitely. 3 hours later, they detected movement outside. Multiple bipedal signatures approaching, the security officer whispered, terror evident in his trembling limbs. The Volteri had observed human hunting parties from orbit. They had witnessed their methodical tracking, their use of projectile weapons, their ritual of field-dressing kills. Now they would face these predators directly. The outer hatch slid open. Snow swirled in the opening, silhouetting 3 bulky figures, humans encased in thick protective clothing, projectile weapons slung across their backs. Survivors. The lead figure called out, removing facial coverings to reveal a weathered female face. The universal translator embedded in Xeltana's communication device processed the unfamiliar language, providing meaning if not cultural context. We mean no harm, Xeltana responded, stepping forward despite her officer's protests. Our vessel malfunctioned. The human's eyes widened, pupils dilating. A predatory response, their research indicated. But instead of attacking, she unslung a pack from her shoulders. You're injured, she stated, gesturing to the blue fluid leaking from a gash in Xeltana's thermal suit. Our camp is 3 kilometers east. Storm's coming. You won't survive the night here. The security officer bristled. Commander, this could be a trap. Predators often use deception. The human female seemed to intuit the exchange despite not understanding their language. She produced a small device, activated it, and spoke into it. Base camp, this is Elena. We've got visitors, not human. Crashed ship. Requesting immediate medical evac and diplomatic protocol. She looked directly at Xeltana. We're not going to hurt you, but that wound needs treatment, and this storm will kill all of you. Something in the direct gaze unsettled Xeltana, the focus of an apex predator. Yet the offered aid contradicted everything their research suggested about predatory behavior. Why help us? She asked. Elena's expression changed, softening in a way the Volteri had observed only between humans and their young. Because you need it, she replied simply. And because that's what humans do. As they trudged through deepening snow toward the human camp, Tana reflected on the fundamental flaw in their research. They had documented human predatory behaviors exhaustively, but had missed something essential about these paradoxical beings, something she was only beginning to understand as the howling wind drove them toward an uncertain refuge. The Antarctic Research Station's alarm screamed to life at 300 hours. Dr. Maya Rodriguez bolted upright in her bunk, disoriented until Chief of Security Foster's voice thundered through the intercom. Unknown aircraft breaching perimeter. All personnel to emergency stations. Maya, a marine biologist studying cetacean communication patterns, grabbed her cold weather gear. The station housed 32 scientists and 6 security personnel, a skeleton crew during the perpetual darkness of Antarctic winter. Outside her window, brilliant light sliced through the darkness. Not aircraft. Something else entirely. The secure communications room was chaos when she arrived. Director Chen was speaking rapidly into a satellite phone while Foster deployed his security team with grim efficiency. 17 unidentified contacts descended from orbit 5 minutes ago, Chen explained, his face ashen. They're not responding to hails, and they're definitely not human tech. The room fell silent as the external camera feed showed the approaching vessels, sleek, predatory shapes gliding across the ice with unnatural speed. "We received this transmission from the UN Security Council 90 seconds ago," Chen continued, activating a screen. A deer-like alien appeared, one of the Volteri representatives who had made peaceful contact with humanity 3 weeks prior. The creature's voice trembled. "Warning to all Earth defense networks. Draconid warships have entered your system. They are apex predators who have conquered 12 civilizations. They consider all other life forms prey. There is no negotiation possible." The transmission cut off as the first explosion rocked the station. "We've got incoming," Foster shouted, pointing to heat signatures approaching from the landing zone. At least 30 hostiles. "What's the evacuation protocol?" Maya asked, pulling on her parka. "There isn't one," Chen replied. "In these conditions, we'd die before reaching the next outpost." "Foster, options." The security chief's expression hardened. "We've got the geothermal research equipment in Section C, industrial tools and engineering. Small arms and security. You can't be suggesting we fight whatever those things are," a glaciologist protested. Foster's gaze was steady. "I'm suggesting we survive. Rodriguez, you spent 6 years in Brazilian Special Forces before joining the research team, correct?" Maya nodded, memories of jungle operations flashing through her mind. "Hostile environment specialist. Then you're my second in command. We need tow." The lights died. Emergency generators hummed to life, casting the room in dim red. "They targeted our power grid," Foster concluded. "Smart." Maya accessed the station schematic on her tablet. "Not smart enough. They cut main power but missed the auxiliary systems. They don't understand our redundancies." Through the reinforced windows, Maya caught her first glimpse of the attackers. Towering reptilian figures moving with predatory grace across the snow, their scaled bodies seemingly unaffected by the bitter cold. Their elongated skulls house rows of gleaming teeth, visible even at this distance. "They're cold-blooded," she realized. "Reptilian metabolism in Antarctic conditions. They'll be seeking heat." Foster nodded grimly. "They'll funnel toward the geothermal plant. Then we have our battleground," Maya decided. "Director, get your people to the emergency bunker beneath the ice core lab. It's reinforced and off the main schematics." "What are you planning?" Chen asked. Maya was already moving, Foster at her heels. "These things evolved as apex predators without natural enemies. They've never been hunted." She paused at the equipment locker, pulling out ice axes, climbing gear, and industrial cutting tools. Time they learned what it feels like to be prey. 40 minutes later, the first Draconid warriors breached the geothermal plant's outer doors. thermal imaging guiding them toward the station's heat source. They moved with supreme confidence, weapons at ready, communicating through subvocal clicks. None of them looked up to the shadowed ceiling where Maya and Foster's team waited in ambush, the station's industrial coolant system rigged to drench the room at their signal. The lead Draconid commander stepped into position beneath them, and Maya met Foster's eyes across the darkness. The hunt had begun. The United Nations Security Council chamber had never hosted such disparate beings. Valtteri Ambassador Exale Tana stood before the assembly, her slender form dwarfed by the massive viewscreen displaying the devastation in Antarctica. The Draconid Empire has conquered 12 civilizations, she explained, her translator rendering her musical language into flat human speech. None survived first contact. None except you. The footage from Maya Rodriguez's helmet camera played again. The Security Council representatives watched in silence as the feed showed Maya's team using liquid nitrogen from the research equipment to essentially freeze a Draconid warrior solid, then shatter its body with a well-placed strike from an ice axe. 17 elite Draconid hunters entered your research facility, Tana continued. None returned. This has never occurred in recorded galactic history. General Harlow of the United States leaned forward. Dr. Rodriguez and her team simply used what was available. Adaptive thinking under pressure. No, Tana corrected. What they demonstrated was something uniquely human. We've been analyzing the neurological data from Dr. Rodriguez's medical scans. A new image appeared on screen. 2 brain scans side by side. This is Dr. Rodriguez's brain activity during normal conditions. Tana indicated the left scan. And this is during the Draconid attack. The difference was striking. The right scan blazed with activity across multiple regions. Most species, including Valtteri, experience cognitive impairment during extreme fear. Brain function narrows to fight or flight responses. But humans, she paused, antennae quivering. Humans experience heightened cognition, improved pattern recognition, and enhanced sensory processing when afraid. You don't just survive fear, you harness it. The Chinese representative frowned. What relevance does this have to our defense strategy? Everything, Tana replied. The Draconids evolved as apex predators. They've never needed to experience fear as a survival mechanism. They don't understand it. But humans evolved as both predator and prey. You know fear intimately. The screens changed to show Maya Rodriguez entering the chamber. Her face, now famous across Earth's media networks, bore fresh scars from the Antarctic battle. Lieutenant Rodriguez, the Secretary General acknowledged. Your actions have bought us valuable intelligence. Maya nodded curtly and painted a target on Earth. The Draconids will return with overwhelming force, which is why we've proposed an alliance, Tana interjected. Valtteri technology with human adaptability. You mean human capacity for violence, Maya corrected. Tana didn't deny it. My species built starships while still believing predators were mythical creatures. We never needed weapons until we met the Draconids. And we've been developing them since we picked up the first rock, Maya replied. Later, at the newly established joint training facility outside Geneva, Maya observed the first group of Valtteri volunteers attempting to handle simplified human weapons. Their skittish movements and hesitant aims spoke volumes. They've never hunted anything, her second-in-command remarked. Then we teach them, Maya replied, approaching a young Valtteri scientist struggling with the targeting system. I don't understand, the alien admitted. How do you determine where to aim? You anticipate where your target will be, Maya explained. Predict movement. The concept visibly disturbed the Valtteri. Prediction requires understanding another's mind. Exactly, Maya agreed. Humans call it getting inside someone's head. Across the training ground, a group of Valtteri scientists observed human children playing an improvised game of capture the flag. Their analytical equipment recorded every feint, ambush, and strategic deception the children employed instinctively. Remarkable, the lead Valtteri researcher noted. No training, yet the young ones naturally understand concealment, distraction, flanking maneuvers. Zeltana watched silently beside him. They're not being taught to hunt, she realized. They're born knowing how. Singapore's skyline blazed with emergency lights as the Draconid assault ships descended through the cloud cover. Supreme Commander Vexcor observed the city-state's gleaming towers from his command vessel, satisfaction rumbling in his throat. Scans show minimal military presence, his tactical officer reported. Their defenders have withdrawn to Kuala Lumpur as predicted. Vexcor's scaled lips pulled back in a predatory smile. 3 standard months had passed since the Antarctic humiliation. In that time, he had studied these humans extensively. Their swift adaptation of Valtteri technology concerned him, but their strategy remained predictable. Consolidation of forces around major population centers while abandoning peripheral territories. Singapore houses their primary quantum computing facility, he noted. Its capture will cripple their defense networks across the region. He rose from his command throne, massive frame towering over his crew. I will lead the ground assault personally. The primary landing force deployed across the Marina Bay district. 400 elite warriors equipped with advanced armor and weapons designed for urban warfare. They moved with precision through the seemingly abandoned streets, thermal scanners detecting no significant human presence. 6 kilometers north, in an underground command center beneath the Macricci Reservoir, Maya Rodriguez watched the Draconid deployment on holographic displays. Beside her, Zeltana monitored communication channels. All units report ready, the Valtteri commander confirmed, her once timid demeanor now hardened by months of preparation. Vexcor has committed his elite guard exactly as predicted. Maya nodded, studying the tactical overlay. Activate Phase 1. Across Singapore, subtle changes began. Atmospheric processors, disguised as standard air conditioning units but incorporating Valtteri technology, initiated a precise adjustment to humidity and temperature levels within a 2-kilometer radius of the Draconid landing zone. Environmental parameters shifting, a technician reported, approaching optimal conditions. On her display, Maya watched thermal signatures of the Draconid forces moving toward the financial district. Unlike mammals, reptilian biology required external heat sources. The Draconids' advanced armor compensated for this evolutionary limitation, maintaining optimal body temperature regardless of environment. They're about to learn the difference between theory and practice, Maya murmured. At her signal, targeted electromagnetic pulses, untraceable and nearly undetectable, activated across the district. Within seconds, warning lights flashed across Draconid armor systems as temperature regulators failed. In the suddenly humid, cooling air of Singapore's engineered microclimate, the reptilian metabolism of the invaders began to slow. Vexcor felt it first, a subtle lethargy creeping through his limbs as his armor's heat regulation system flickered and died. Report, he snarled, watching his warriors' movements become increasingly sluggish. Unknown interference pattern, his science officer responded, voice slowing. Possibly Valtteri technology, but the application is unexpected. On his tactical display, Vexcor watched as previously undetected heat signatures emerged from buildings and underground access points. Humans, moving with the fluid grace of predators in their natural environment, taking positions in a standard encirclement pattern. But they weren't attacking. They're watching us, his second-in-command realized with dawning horror, waiting for us to weaken. Vexcor had studied thousands of species across hundreds of worlds. He had personally led the subjugation of the crystal singers of Proxima Centauri and the silicon hive minds of the Orc territories. None had employed this strategy. The deliberate manipulation of environment to exploit biological weakness, followed by patient observation of the resulting deterioration. It was, he realized with a cold shock of recognition, precisely how humans describe the hunting techniques of ancient Earth predators. They called it persistence hunting. Fall back to extraction points, he ordered, fighting through his body's growing torpor. immediately. But as his warriors attempted retreat, precisely targeted explosives detonated across the district, collapsing pre-selected structures to block evacuation routes without causing widespread destruction. Not a blockade, Vex Corps realized. A funnel. They were being herded. The captured Draconid footage played on screens throughout the Valtteri command ship. Zeltana watched with her senior staff as humans in black combat gear moved through ancient Cambodian temple ruins, systematically eliminating the Draconid scout team that had established a forward operating base there. Notice their efficiency, Maya pointed out. No wasted movement. No hesitation. The footage showed a human sniper waiting motionless for 14 hours, camouflaged among stone carvings, before taking the single shot that disabled a Draconid communications array. Another segment displayed a 5-person team using the temple's acoustics to project sounds that drew Draconid guards into prepared kill zones. What disturbs me, Zeltana admitted, isn't the violence itself. It's how beautiful it is, like watching master artists. Maya's expression remained neutral. This region was once home to the Khmer Rouge, humans who turned killing into an art form. The temples your people find so aesthetically pleasing were built by slave labor. Thousands died for beauty. The Valtteri scientists exchanged uncomfortable glances. For 3 weeks, human forces had been broadcasting such footage directly to Draconid command ships. Not just current operations, but historical documentaries about human conflict through the ages. Gladiatorial combat, public executions, modern special forces training. Psychological warfare, Maya explained, seeing their discomfort. We're showing them what they're facing. You're inducing fear, the Valtteri psychology specialist corrected, a condition the Draconids have never experienced. Further discussion halted as urgent communications came through. Draconid forces had seized a research outpost in Malaysia containing both human and Valtteri scientists. Among the captives was Dr. Sanjay Patel, the quantum physicist whose work had been instrumental in integrating Valtteri technology with human defense systems. They're transporting the prisoners to their biological research vessel in orbit, the intelligence officer reported, likely for vivisection to identify exploitable weaknesses. Zeltana's translator couldn't fully convey the horror in her voice. We must dispatch a rescue fleet immediately. No time, Maya countered. I need a shuttle, minimal crew, and your phase shift technology. 6 hours later, their small craft approached the massive Draconid vessel, cloaked by Valtteri technology that bent light around their hull. Maya led a mixed team. 4 humans from her Special Operations Unit and 2 Valtteri engineers needed to bypass the ship's security systems. Remember, she briefed them, our mission is extraction only. Get our people. Get out. The infiltration proceeded smoothly until they reached the central laboratory section. Through observation windows, they saw their captured colleagues suspended in transparent chambers, surrounded by Draconid scientists conducting methodical examinations. Maya's team moved efficiently through the ship's corridors, eliminating Draconid security with silent precision. When they reached the laboratory's main access, Maya deployed specialized charges designed to temporarily overload the ship's power grid without causing structural damage. As darkness descended, the team moved in, freeing the prisoners and guiding them toward the extraction point. They were nearly clear when emergency systems restored partial power. A security team of elite Draconid warriors intercepted them 3 junctions from their shuttle. What followed shocked the Valtteri team members to their core. Maya's human operatives switched from precision to brutal efficiency, employing combat techniques specifically designed to inflict maximum pain rather than quick death. Why torture them? The Valtteri engineer whispered as they escaped, leaving writhing Draconid guards behind. You could have killed them cleanly. Maya's eyes were cold as she helped Dr. Patel onto the shuttle. Those guards will live. They'll report what happened. How humans fight when you take our researchers, our knowledge keepers. As their shuttle broke orbit, Zeltana studied Maya's expression. You wanted them to suffer. No, Maya corrected. I wanted Vex Corps to watch the recordings and understand something crucial about humanity. What? That we can be monsters when we choose to be. Supreme Commander Vex Corps faced the unthinkable, requisitioning his genetically modified berserker units. In 12 conquest campaigns, he had deployed them only twice. Their unpredictable savagery made them as dangerous to their handlers as to enemies. The human resistance requires extraordinary measures, he informed his war council. These bipeds have embarrassed the Empire long enough. The first berserker deployment targeted Osaka, a manufacturing hub for the integrated human Valtteri defense systems. 300 modified warriors, each standing 3 meters tall with reinforced skeletal structures and redundant organ systems, descended on the city. Initial reports were promising. The berserkers tore through conventional defenses, shrugging off weapons that would incapacitate standard troops. They operated on pure instinct, without communication systems that could be jammed or tactical patterns that could be predicted. Vex Corps watched the battle feeds with growing satisfaction. The humans were retreating into the dense urban center, abandoning the industrial districts. Victory seemed assured until a subtle pattern emerged. The retreating forces were moving in synchronized pulses, maintaining precise distances between units. "Magnify Sector 12, he ordered. The display zoomed in on a human squad navigating through rubble. Their movements appeared chaotic at first glance, but Vex Corps' experienced eye detected underlying coordination. They weren't communicating through technology or even vocal commands, yet they functioned as a single organism. When a berserker unit charged their position, the humans didn't flee individually. Instead, they split into pairs, drawing the attackers in multiple directions, then converged again to concentrate fire on isolated targets. They're using pack-hunting formations, his skenobiologist realized, like their ancient wolf ancestors. Vex Corps studied the emerging tactical picture with growing concern. The berserkers, designed for overwhelming individual power, were being systematically separated and eliminated by smaller, weaker opponents working in concert. In the command center beneath Osaka Castle, Maya coordinated the city's defense alongside a mixed human Valtteri team. The ancient fortress, rebuilt countless times over centuries, now housed quantum computers and holographic battle displays. Squad 7. Execute Protocol Timber, Maya ordered as berserkers breached another defensive line. A team of 8 humans and 2 Valtteri technical specialists immediately shifted formation, drawing 3 berserkers into a shopping district rigged with specialized traps. Zeltana observed the operation with fascination. Your squads barely communicate, yet they adapt instantly to changing conditions. Humans evolved hunting in groups long before we developed language, Maya explained. We read micro-expressions, body positioning, environmental cues. The holographic display showed the berserkers charging into the trap. Synchronized explosives collapsed structures around them, while targeted sonic weapons disrupted their enhanced inner ear structures. Disoriented and separated, the powerful warriors were methodically eliminated by coordinated fire from multiple angles. Your Valtteri teams are learning quickly, Maya noted. They've integrated into the squad structure better than expected. Zeltana's antennae twitched with pride. My people are adapting. The concept of predatory coordination was theoretical to us until recently. A communication officer interrupted. Lieutenant Rodriguez, we've intercepted Draconid transmissions. They're deploying their final berserker reserve directly to our position. Maya's expression remained calm as she studied the tactical display. They're targeting our command center. Vex Corps has identified me as the Alpha. Should we evacuate? A Valtteri officer questioned. No, Maya replied, a predatory smile forming. We've been anticipating this. Activate Protocol Chimera. Throughout Osaka, disguised Valtteri transporter technology hummed to life, not in the command center, but in civilian shelters, hospitals, and schools. The devices created multiple false command signatures, each appearing to contain Maya's biological patterns. You're making them choose between targets, Zeltana realized. Maya nodded. Humans call it choice paralysis. Predators instinctively pursue the highest value target. When presented with too many identical options, their decision-making falters. On the tactical display, the Berserker unit's coordinated approach fractured as they detected multiple identical targets. Their genetically programmed aggression overrode tactical considerations, causing them to split into smaller groups pursuing contradictory objectives. They hunt as individuals, Maya observed. We hunt as one. The integrated command center beneath Geneva hummed with nervous energy. Representatives from Earth's military powers gathered around a holographic display showing Draconid fleet movements. After 6 months of hit-and-run engagements, the human-Volteri alliance had bloodied the invaders but failed to secure decisive victory. Maya stood beside Tana, both women bearing the marks of recent battles. A fresh scar across Maya's cheek, a cybernetic replacement for Tana's damaged right arm. Vexcor is consolidating his forces, Maya observed, studying the tactical display. Preparing for a final offensive. General Harlow nodded grimly. Our intelligence suggests he's facing pressure from the Draconid hierarchy. This campaign has lasted longer than any previous conquest. Because we refuse to fight conventionally, Maya replied. But we're approaching a tipping point. Our resources are stretched thin. Tana manipulated the holographic controls, highlighting key Draconid positions. Their command structure remains their vulnerability. The hierarchy demands results from Vexcor, which means he must lead personally. Maya's expression shifted, the subtle predatory focus that still unsettled even her Volteri allies. Then we give him a prize too tempting to resist. We give him Earth. The room erupted in protest until Maya raised her hand. Not the real Earth, a killing ground disguised as opportunity. 72 hours later, human forces across the globe initiated what appeared to be a disorganized retreat from major population centers. Emergency broadcasts reported system failures in the integrated defense network. Refugee caravans clogged highways leading away from cities. From his command vessel, Vexcor observed the apparent collapse with cautious satisfaction. His strategic analysts reported that the human-Volteri alliance was fracturing under pressure, with Volteri ships withdrawing to defensive positions around their home system. The humans believe they've been abandoned, his intelligence officer reported. Their communications reflect panic and recrimination. Vexcor's inner eyelids narrowed suspiciously. These humans have proven deceptive before. We've analyzed their planetary defense grid. Critical nodes are failing sequentially. A cascading system collapsed consistent with Volteri technology being withdrawn. The Supreme Commander studied the tactical projections. After months of humiliating setbacks, victory seemed within reach. The Draconid hierarchy had made their expectations clear. Return with Earth subjugated or not at all. Prepare the command carrier for planetary descent, he ordered. I will personally accept humanity's surrender in their seat of power. 16 hours later, Vexcor's massive command ship descended through Earth's atmosphere, escorted by his elite guard. Their destination: the abandoned United Nations complex in New York City, symbol of human global governance. The landing zone appeared deserted, with evidence of hasty evacuation. Sensor sweeps detected minimal electronic activity and no significant power signatures. Automated defense systems lay dormant, apparently disabled during the retreat. Vexcor emerged from his vessel, armored in ceremonial battle regalia. The empty plaza before the UN building stretched out like a stage awaiting his triumph. He strode forward, flanked by his honor guard, mandibles spread in the Draconid expression of dominance. Broadcast on all frequencies, he commanded. Let the humans witness the moment of their subjugation. As his communications officer complied, subtle vibrations rippled through the plaza. Beneath the paving stones, thousands of specialized seismic transmitters activated simultaneously, generating frequencies precisely calibrated to the Draconid auditory range. The effect was immediate. Vexcor staggered as excruciating pain lanced through his skull. His guards collapsed, clutching their auditory membranes. The carefully modulated sound, imperceptible to human ears, targeted the specialized inner ear structures unique to Draconid physiology. From concealed positions surrounding the plaza, Maya's joint human Volteri strike team emerged. Their helmets, incorporating Volteri dampening technology, protected them from the debilitating sonic attack. As his guard writhed helplessly, Vexcor fought through the pain to activate his personal shield. Through watering eyes, he saw Maya Rodriguez approaching, her expression not triumphant but grimly purposeful. "You've turned your own world into a weapon," he hissed. Maya's response was calm, almost conversational. "No, Commander. We transformed a killing field into a stage, and you walked willingly into the spotlight." The Galactic Council's Grand Chamber had never hosted a species with less than 5 centuries of interstellar travel history. Yet today, all 17 representatives of the Council's ruling species watched as a human and a Volteri approached the central dais. Maya Rodriguez walked alongside Seltana, both wearing formal diplomatic attire that couldn't quite conceal the warriors beneath. 9 months had passed since Vexcor's capture in New York. 9 months of tense negotiations, technological exchange, and redefining humanity's place in the galactic order. The Council recognizes Ambassador Axel Tana of the Volteri Cooperative, announced the Arbiter, a methane-breathing entity whose translucent body rippled with bioluminescent patterns. "We acknowledge your petition to present Terran humans for consideration." Tana stepped forward, her movements carrying the fluid grace she had adopted from her human allies. "Esteemed Council, I present Lieutenant Maya Rodriguez, designated representative of Earth's United Nations Space Authority." The chamber's atmosphere tensed. Many counselors had opposed this meeting, citing regulations against admitting predatory intelligence to galactic society. The unprecedented defeat of the Draconid invasion force had only intensified their concern. "Before these proceedings continue," interrupted the Morrigan representative, "an avian entity whose species had suffered Draconid aggression for generations, we must address the incident at Draconid Prime." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Following Vexcor's capture, a small human Volteri fleet had entered Draconid space, not to attack, but to broadcast. For 14 standard days, they had transmitted footage of Earth's wildlife, focusing on predator-prey relationships. Lions hunting gazelles, wolves coordinating to bring down larger prey, orcas teaching their young to hunt seals. Most disturbing to the Council was the final transmission, unedited footage of Vexcor's failed invasion, ending with his public release on the steps of the United Nations. "The humans committed no act of war," Seltana pointed out. "They simply shared information." "Information calculated to instill fear," countered the Morrigan. "The Draconid hierarchy has withdrawn from 3 occupied systems since that broadcast. Their expansion has halted for the first time in 9 centuries." Maya stepped forward, her voice calm. "We showed them who we are. Nothing more." The Arbiter's bioluminescence pulsed with curiosity. "And who are you, Lieutenant Rodriguez?" "Your species emerged from planetary confinement merely 7 decades ago. You possess minimal interstellar territory and rudimentary faster-than-light capability. Yet you defeated the most aggressive military force in the known galaxy." "We're survivors," Maya answered simply. "Evolution shaped humans through both selection pressures, as prey and as predator. We understand vulnerability and power equally." She activated a holographic display showing Earth's evolutionary history, the transition from prey species to cooperative hunters, the development of tools, and finally, the emergence of civilization. Most galactic species evolved along binary paths, either as prey developing cooperation and technology to compensate for physical limitations, like the Volteri, or as apex predators who eventually applied their dominance to technological advancement, like the Draconids. The display shifted to show human brain scans alongside comparative xenobiology data. Humans followed both paths simultaneously. We retained predatory instincts while developing cooperation beyond what any individual predator would require. We understand fear because we've experienced it. We comprehend dominance because we've employed it. A new image appeared. Children playing alongside Volteri younglings in a newly established cultural exchange program. We're not applying for membership based on our military capability, Maya continued. We're here because humanity offers something unique to galactic society, a bridge between evolutionary paths. The chamber fell silent as the council processed her words. The arbiter's bioluminescence pulsed in the pattern indicating deep consideration. What assurance can you provide? Asked the eldest counselor, a silicon-based entity whose civilization predated all others present. That humanity will not become what the Draconids were, conquerors justifying expansion through predatory instinct. Maya's gaze swept the chamber, meeting each alien perspective with steady resolve. None, she answered honestly. Except this, predators who understand their nature are less dangerous than those who deny it. Humanity acknowledges what we are, and what we could become. That awareness is our greatest safeguard against ourselves.